We talk about the 7 Stryper albums in the last few years, counting the covering and all that, and then he's also put out, 2 killer solo albums. He's done 2 Sweet Lynch albums. He's got this side thing with Tony Harnell. I mean,
Oh yeah, I want to hear that one.
Guy's always doing something.
And he wrote a book, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, that book needs to be a movie. It really does.
Yeah, it really does.
I mean, it brought tears to my eyes. I mean, it was the most powerful story.
Mm-hmm. Reading that just got me all excited, to like when I was 15 and was discovering Stryper and how that felt because, I had a friend who was always trying to get me to listen to Christian bands, but, Sweet Comfort Band and Feral didn't do it for me, I'm like, I love heavy metal. Where's a Christian heavy metal band, And then, my friend was telling me I'm the one that first discovered Stryper. I don't remember how it was. He's like, you read about him in some magazine or something, and you ordered the album. But I remember dropping the needle on that, and Loud and Clear comes out with that scream, and then it goes into the riff, and I'm like, seriously, that was like a chill bumps moment when you first hear that album as a 15-year-old kid, and you're like, I've been dying for music like this,
I remember, when I first bought that album, it was had to talk my mom into it because they just came out. They had that stand in the Christian bookstore in the mall, with the advertisement, and they were just so far out of the box, they, it was like, well, I don't know about this, it's like, I got that cassette. Well, Mike knows the story because, after I got that, man, it was just like,
and we were off to the races, man. We tried to find metal band we possibly could.
Yep. Well, they opened the floodgates because shortly after then it was like Bloodgood and Messiah Prophet and Saint and Baron Cross. And
then we're running into Wade and Dave at Beran every week.
Yep, sitting back there with the headphones and listening to all the new music,
What came out, man?
I remember Stryper, I had the special order because nobody was carrying it yet. And I remember when I went into the Christian bookstore to get it, the lady, I'm like, I'm here to pick up the record I ordered. And the lady hands it to me with like this look of disgust on her face.
That's like, how did... Exactly.
Man, how times have changed, man.
I try and tell my son, I'm like, dude, you grew up in the best time ever for Christian music because every genre is just accepted and you don't know what to like.
So true, man. So true.
I remember the best feeling, it was one of the best feelings, like when To Hell with the Devil came out and you went into the, what was JR's Music and whatever, and they just had it plastered all over. It's like, my gosh, it's like Stryper's in the secular music store, just everywhere,
Mm-hmm. Well, I remember
that was so cool, man.
It's funny too because they took so much flack for that. It's like, well, where do you want them to be? That's who they're trying to reach, It's like, I just never understood.
Yeah, they couldn't win. They couldn't win, man.
They couldn't win because oh my gosh, they play in bars and they're sold in secular stores. Yes, that's the point.
Yeah. Oh man, back to the book. Honestly. The part that got me the most that I did tear up goes right along with what you're saying, and it's a story of how Michael and Robert's family got saved through the ministry of Jimmy Swaggert, and then one day they would watch him on the TV gather around, and he held up a magazine with them on it and said, "These guys are the devil." And Jimmy Swaggert was a hero to Michael Sweet. I mean,
that's so
wow.
Where's Jimmy Swaggert's apology to this day? Is he still alive? I don't even know. Is he still alive?
I don't know.
He is still alive, and his grandson still has a lot to do with the church. The only reason I know this is my daughter's ex-boyfriend moved to Baton Rouge, Louisiana, and
really?
That dude's mom is working for Jimmy Swaggert. Yeah, for the ministry of the church.
Man.
It's not on the level that it was, and they're still doing church the way they were doing it years ago, and it's just... Yeah. I mean, his grandson's cool, but they need to just let him take it over. But it's
So how old is that guy? I wonder how.
I think he's like 127.
Yeah.
Oh no, okay. No, I don't know.
If he's still functional, maybe I'll try to harass him some way and say you owe Stryper an apology, bro.
But just I do feel sorry for them because I think more than any Christian band, because they paved the way. Then Barren Cross came along and Bloodgood. They didn't get near as much heartache as Stryper got.
Hey, have you guys seen the Bloodgood documentary?
Yep, I got the DVD.
Yeah, I got it.
No,
too.
I haven't seen it yet.
It's really cool.
Oh my god! Yeah, it's pretty good.
It's fun to watch. Yeah,
dude,
Cool.
Frontline just screwed them over big time.
Wow.
Really?
Yep. Oh yeah.
I gotta see that.
They got taken.
yeah.
A lot of those guys
It's
did
horrible.
on those.
Well,
those
that's
labels.
the whole thing with Vengeance and Vengeance Rising. Is they kind of got screwed over by label deals and merch companies and stuff, and left with all this debt. And most of those bands weren't making any money.
No.
You're doing it because it was ministry and you loved music and you weren't making money at it.
Yeah. Don't they say you don't make any money till probably your 5th album on a label or something? But most people now, it's just you go independent, right? And
Right.
then just
Well, back then you signed a contract and they gave you a $300,000 advance. Well, that's a loan. You got to pay that back.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like, great, we get to record at the best studio in the world and use this producer, and it's costing $1 million, and you got to pay that back. So you gotta, That's why they had to tour 365 days a year. And
tour merchandise is the only way to make money. I mean, it's not
yeah.
They never made on the CD sales.
I just can't believe we're sitting here in 2020 talking about this, and who'd have thought when we were 15-year-old kids, Stryper would be putting out new material, but Bloodgood still is, Deliverance still is, I mean, a lot of these bands are sort of back, which is awesome.
Did you hear who else is putting out an album? I don't know if you care about them, but Trytan is putting out an album.
Really?
Yeah, it's supposed to come out next month.
That's cool.
It's called Blood of Kings. And he said it's they got another one. They got 2 albums, and he said they do the Revelation song at the end of the album, and he's got Ray Parra, John Elefante, and Jim Laverty's playing bass.
Really?
Wow.
On that song.
That's cool.
Yeah, it sounds like it's gonna be interesting.
Yeah. No, they were a cool band. Cool. I saw them at one of the Metal Fest, Chuck, right? Metal Fest, not '88. That was the first one. Maybe '89 or something. They played. They wanted to cater. Trytan was there.
Yes.
Yeah.
I heard stories about that.
Yeah, man. I just wish it's not going to happen. But I just wish Guardian would do another record and go back.
Yeah.
To the first 2 albums. Do something
exactly.
for that. Man.
I was just talking about that the other night, Chuck. You remember me and you sitting in the car till like 3 a.m. waiting for Guardian to get here, freezing because it was like November, and
Yes, and that was pre-Jamie too.
Yeah,
man. That was
with Paul Collins and Rick Hart on drums.
Yep. I still have a photo of the poster with the receipt because cool. we broke even, and so back in what was it, 80.
Might have been 89 because the first watch had just come out,
Yeah, yep. So we paid them $750 for doing that show.
Wow, which is like nothing. Local bands get more than that.
Yeah. So
you said when was that, Mike? It was, like I said, it was 1989. We had them at First Assembly of God in Pekin.
Yeah, I was at that one.
Yeah.
But where's the one where you were freezing?
That was that one because we were waiting for them to get there. And that was before cell phones or whatever, so they're like, yeah, we'll be there at whatever time. And then they had like issues, I don't know, breakdowns with cars. I don't remember exactly what the story was, but they got there really late because they were supposed to be there, they thought, like 10:30 or something. Chuck and I, okay, we'll just wait in the parking lot for you. They were staying at my house. So we'll meet you there and you can follow me to my house. And they didn't get there till like 3 a.m, So.
So cool. So many bands stayed at Wade's house. I mean,
we had
so many memories, man.
We had Guardian several times. We had One Bad Pig. We had Exalt. We had Sacred Warrior. It was fun.
Yeah.
Oh, incredible.
Good times.
Yeah.
So cool, man. Mike, thanks for doing this, bro.
Hey, no problem. Thanks for joining. I don't know if you guys want to do something else at another time. We can come up with something.
I'm always up talking music.
Yeah. That's what it's all about.
Hard part's going to be to get me to stop talking. Speaking of Guardian, did you see Jamie Rowe's post today?
Yes.
I didn't.
He basically was saying, Stryper released a new album and it's killer and stuff. And he said, there was Stryper, And then there was the rest of us Christian hard rock metal bands. He's like, you know, that's no slight against them or anything. He said they were just that level, and then there was the rest of us.
Yeah, he basically said that they lapped him like I don't know how many times.
Yeah. So he was giving major kudos to him for the great new album and stuff. So
that's cool.
Mm-hmm.
I remember one of the times Jamie was in town. I mean, we did. I think 2 or 3 Guardians at least.
Yeah.
And then, so I don't know. I don't remember when it was. And he even came to our church one time and did some worship stuff. But you know, he was telling me the story. We were driving through Pekin, and he was telling me the story of when he met. You know, he finally was becoming friends with Stryper, and he was riding with Michael Sweet, and he's like, dude, I can't believe it, man. I was just driving, man, and Michael Sweet was sitting next to me. I'm like, but that's Michael Sweet, I can't believe this. And I'm like, I know, man, I'm with Jamie Road right now. I can't believe this.
You know, that is the cool part when some of those like childhood dreams come true, because I've had a couple of experiences like that, and I'm like, thank you, God, because when you're this 15-year-old kid and you're drum in your bedroom, air drumming or whatever, you know, you think this is never going to amount to anything. But I mean, we've been blessed to get to play with White Cross and Farron Cross and some killer bands, and you know, we played the one and only Cornerstone, California that happened, and the same stage that we played on, we played earlier in the day. Bloodgood was the headliner that night, and Neon Cross played that stage, and Ex-Sinner played that stage, and it's like, these are the guys I grew up listening to, and I'm getting to play with them, you know. Wow. And when we went to
awesome.
When we went to Elements of Rock in Switzerland back in 2013, White Cross was headlining like Saturday night. And somebody came and grabbed me, I think it was Jeremy. He's like, dude, Michael's looking for you, Michael Fegan, the drummer. And I'm like, okay. So I go down to the dressing room, and Michael's like, hey, you want to sit in on a song tonight? And I'm instantly I'm like, oh, I think I'm going to throw up.
Wow.
You know? And I'm like,
so
sure?
Cool.
Which
That's
one?
Awesome.
He's like, we're just going to do Knocking on Heaven's Door. Just follow Rex, you know? And I'm like, okay. So, but here's some idols of mine that I grew up, you know, watching Michael Fegan drum for White Cross and Rex Carroll, and I got to play with them, you know. So,
man,
the story, kids, dreams do come true, you know. Yeah. Thanks to God, not thanks to Wade, you know.
Man, I was looking for, you guys would have got a kick out of it, I think, but unless it's in here. Oh, man, it's in here.
Is this the Guardian flyer?
Yeah, I kept all those flyers from all those days. Well, that was one. You probably. I'm sure
I remember that one. I remember that one.
And then, but I have one with
the store logo. Wade, you see that?
Nice. That's awesome. I wish I still had my old SOAR T-shirt.
Man, I might have one.
Don't you have
I was looking for where Violent Mercy was playing with Sacred Warrior. I think that was the show.
We probably. That was the one at the high school.
Yeah, I kept all those flyers. I got them all.
Well, Chuck, do you still remember when we all got that, when that VHS tape came out of, you know, Metal Mission, Hard Rock on the High Road, and we all plopping in and watching it, and there's Scott Dorfler wearing our shirt in the video. We're like,
yes. It's such a cool moment, man. I was just not too long ago telling somebody that story, you know. Yes, man, those were good days.
that was fun.
Yeah.
Like, yes, he's wearing our youth group shirt. Awesome.
Man.
He wore it in a video.
Dude, and do you remember this when we brought in Bride?
Oh,
and when we brought him to Pekin.
Freaking was,
yeah, I got that ad.
Dude, you rock. So we had to make sure we had insurance. You know, Dell was swinging from the balcony, but do you remember Wade talking to them before the show? They were not going to play Rattlesnake because Snakes in the Playground had just come out, and they hadn't practiced it. They didn't know it
enough to play it. Yeah,
really.
Yeah. So, but
God.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
We talked them into playing. They ended up doing it, didn't they?
I don't remember. I mean, the album just come out. It's like, oh, you got to play the album, right? But yeah, I guess, you know, it's one thing to get it down enough to record it in the studio if you record it in pieces and stuff, but they hadn't like played it as a band enough to be comfortable playing it out.
Wow, so. Isn't that something, man? That was like, you know, big hit.
So funny. Yeah, same thing with Exalt and their song "Unconditional Love." They're like, "Oh no, we never do that one live." And I'm like, Dude, I'm broke up with my girlfriend, who is now my wife, right? And she's gonna be here tonight. I need this song. And he did it for me. He did it for me.
Oh man, that's awesome, man. I wish I could find the rest of those ads.
I think I still have
you
that.
You guys keep any of them?
Yeah, I still have. I just came across the one when we had Exalt at Faith Fellowship, Chuck. I came across that ad from the newspaper. I still have it. You know.
No way.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, I got that one too.
I think I have the Guardian one from '89 when the first time we brought him in, because I had him autograph that or whatever. But that's a really cool memento because it's like, say, it's the old drummer and the old singer. You know.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I probably have a scrapbook of some of that stuff. You remember the time Halo came to the church Heartland and played in the youth room?
Yes.
They played the youth room?
Yep.
Acoustic show for a youth group. Yeah,
they
man.
came and did just
And,
acoustics that one Wednesday night.
yeah. And they were just good old boys, man.
They
That's
were.
the one thing that I just remember. They were just like so down to earth. But as far as different shows, since we're on the subject, and I know Wayne will remember this, but I don't know if Steve and Mike, were you at the One Bad Pig show that we did in Groveland?
Yeah, I was. Yeah.
So Shannon,
That's crazy.
so early in the day, they were setting up, and everybody was running around getting ready for the show. I was looking for the singer. Was it Carrie?
Carrie Womack.
Yeah. So I was trying to find him, and man, I looked everywhere. I was running around, and everybody else was setting up and doing stuff, and and so I don't even remember what I needed to talk to him about, but somebody told me to go get him, and I couldn't find him. So finally, I went into a room, since the building was an old school. He was in one of the schoolrooms, and I opened up the door, and he was in the middle of the room, on his knees, Bible open, and he just had his hands up, and he was praying out loud. And in that moment, I knew it was going to be an incredible night.
Yeah.
And that's the one memory that I have out of all the shows we ever did. And then even though we made an ice cream sundae, even though we took all the pews out and I couldn't remember how to put them back, and I thought I was going to get fired, and even though we cut Jig's hair off during cut your hair, and it was a crazy show.
Yes.
Shannon Wolf got saved at that concert.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That was a good show. That was a crazy show. I wasn't like, a big fan of them, but they were awesome. I mean, they were more punkish,
Yeah.
So who'd they play with? I think I wanted to see the other band more.
We opened the show. Violent Mercy played.
Yeah. Okay. Wait, was that the only one?
I think it was just us and them.
Okay. I think I just went because they were, playing.
Yeah.
But
Well, it's funny too, because like One Bad Pig stylistically wouldn't be my favorite, but I became a fan, like you say, after seeing them live a few times and how powerful they were, and they were just the most cool, down to earth guys, and serious, about their faith, and I learned to love them as a band and appreciate them, and we were at the concert that they recorded the live video for, Blow Your House Down at Cornerstone. We were at that show, and
yeah.
In fact, that show, the video, when the video came out, one of the kids from our youth group was in the video. Do you remember that, Wade? And I'm trying to remember his name. He was at that show, living for God, right in the front. And I just found out he died in a car accident a few weeks ago.
Wow.
Oh,
so thank God for their ministry. Thank God for One Bad Pig, and But they weren't my favorite style of music either. I just loved their heart, and of course, how cool was it they had Johnny Cash on the song?
That show was incredible. I mean, it was fun. I didn't know what to expect, but that was.
Well, the funny backstory on that is we had just kind of finished the sanctuary, building out like the little truss above and the new carpet, and so we're like, oh yeah, this bandit's coming in. He likes to jump in the pool of ice cream, and so we're like, don't worry, we'll put tarps down. So he does his belly flop into it, and the kids just start reaching in the pool and grabbing it and flinging it like this. So now there's hot fudge and ice cream going everywhere. And then they got.
I don't know if you remember, Wade, but we were between pastors. That was before Pastor John. It was post Pastor Buddy, so there was no pastor. The board was not happy with me after that night because I really did forget. I didn't draw a diagram of where the pews go. We just took them all out, and they were like, "Oh crap, we got church, we got to put them back." Yeah.
I
Oh,
remember
man.
that
it
we
was-
were there till like 3 a.m. cleaning, had vacuums
Yeah,
running. We're having to clean
me,
silly
Chris-
string off the rafters, get on ladders because it's hanging down. We got church tomorrow, you know. It was.
Yeah. Oh, man.
So the
Good
bands
stuff.
used to stay at one of you guys' houses, right? I mean, I remember.
Wait.
Yeah, the One Bad Pig stayed with us that night. I remember they got to our house, and here again, it's like 3 a.m. or something, and they're like, "Can we use your washing machine?" Because all their clothes had ice cream on them and stuff. So we're up for another 2 hours washing clothes and stuff, you know.
Yeah.
And Wade will know this, but I don't know if you guys were at the Sacred Warrior show we did at West Campus.
Yep.
Most people don't know Bruce Swift was sick as a dog, and Ray
Really?
Parra, the mic, there was a short in the mic, and it blew his
Ooh.
lip up.
It did? I
Every
didn't
time he
know
went
that.
to sing, it was shocking him. And he pulled his lip down. He had like a blister at the end.
Oh
of it.
my gosh.
And Bruce had like
Wow.
a fever and was dead on his feet, sick, and
Jeez.
so.
And
I still got that ad too for that concert.
Well, that was when they had added John.
you need
Johnson,
to take a
the
picture
second
of
guitar
him,
player.
Steve.
I have
Yeah,
I have the scans of them somewhere. I can
Oh yeah,
send
you
them to
did.
you.
scan
Oh,
them,
cool.
didn't you?
Yeah.
Well, that show was, like I said, that's when they added John Johnson. That was his name, right? The new guitar player with the blonde hair, the other blonde hair guitar player. Because he joined for Obsessions. And so they were a 2 guitar player band. And I remember his wife was with him, and they had just had a baby. So they stayed with us, and they had to set up their, like, you know, little baby crib thing. And I remember the bass player, Steve Watkins, and his wife, they brought their, like, RV. So they pulled in the driveway. They slept in the RV. The rest of the band slept in the house. It was
Wow.
crazy.
That's
But
true.
I felt bad for
Yeah.
Bruce because he got to the house and just like collapsed. He felt so bad. And then Ray was just tired from getting shocked all night.
What I remember about that is the next day we all had breakfast with your
Yeah.
parents and had a big breakfast. I came over. That was cool.
Yeah.
Good times.
I remember that with Guardian too, when, you know, because we didn't know then. That was the first time meeting him, right? And sitting there
Yeah.
just talking with him the next morning. And, you know, here's these
cool.
guys from California, from like the Sunset Strip, who play all these clubs in LA, and they're playing our church in Pekin. And, you know.
Yeah.
We had a
I
good
remember
crowd
they
though,
were-
man.
I remember they were all like sick because it was November and they'd been traveling, and, you know, just, you know, you don't eat as healthy on the road, and they were all pretty haggard looking the next morning, you know.
That's a trip.
But I remember, if you remember, Chuck Coney's son had just been born, and he showed us a picture.
Yes, I do remember that.
Yeah, that was kind of cool. We're there to this moment where it's like,
Yes,
oh,
I
I want to see
remember
my son, you know.
That was a joke about that. I don't remember what it was. I'm trying to remember, but I don't know. We'll talk later.
Yeah,
Oh,
those are fun times, though. I remember going to the gas station with Scott Dorfler
Yeah.
when they're fueling up before they leave, and we're recording this video of him, like, you know, whatever the gas station was called. He's making this dumb video about putting oil in the car, and you know, I probably still
Man, I
have
bet
those
you
videos
guys got
somewhere.
a
Yeah.
ton of stories.
yeah, man. Wade, you're bringing them back. You're bringing back the memories.
Oh, there's so many concerts. So.
I'd like to hear a lot of those, man. Who brought them?
No, I think.
Whatever.
Oh yes, it was at Riverside.
Can't remember.
That's my daughter who turned 16 Saturday. That was her first show, and she was a toddler. And I have video or pictures of her on a friend of mine's shoulder,
Yeah,
sitting
'cause
on
I
her
ran
shoulders and just jamming out
Cool.
to Disciple. Man,
Yeah, I ran into you there. Yeah, I remember that. Yeah, I ran in.
Yes, yeah, that's right.
Point at you.
I remember.
I get so confused.
Yeah.
At that point.
Wait, I'm gonna wave at Mike.
That was like the last. That was like the last show I was at, like, you know, a Christian rock show. I mean, that was pretty much. Oh no, it wasn't Limelight.
No, you went
Limelight was
to-
open.
Yeah, you
Stryper.
went to the
Stryper
Stryper
was the
show.
Yeah, never
Yeah,
mind.
Stryper was
Yeah.
in Goodfellas and the Limelight.
Yeah.
Yeah, man, both were great shows, but
They were.
of course, Goodfellas was acoustic, right?
Yeah,
But yeah, man,
Limelight
Limelight
full on.
it was awesome too.
Dude,
it was
dude.
like a reunion. It was like a reunion. Like
Yeah,
I wish
everybody
I
was
had
there.
the money. You know, I wish I had the money to buy that place, because when the Castle Theater bought that, it just went downhill.
oh
from
no.
there. They brought the worst acts
Yes,
ever.
I didn't go to a single concert after it changed ownership.
It's got to be still. It's got to be like sitting there for sale. You would
Yeah.
think. I don't
It's
know what they
empty,
did
yeah.
with all that. Man,
It's
that was
just
a
sad
great
because
place.
Limelight was good. I went to lots of good shows there. It was a cool venue, you know.
It was awesome. It sounded great in there.
Yeah.
I mean, it was just perfect. you know.
Yeah, it was a good sort of like medium tier size venue, you know.
Yeah. Now it's
But
hard to tell
Now
what's
we don't
going to
have
happen.
anything. Yeah. What do
We
you
might not
remember?
even have the Civic Center before long.
But do you remember like 3 or 4 years ago when Stryper was supposed to play at the Bradley Arena?
Yeah.
Oh,
You know,
yeah.
and then the whole thing fell through. I was so excited for that.
Yeah.
Like, yeah,
Yep.
Stryper's going to play at that new basketball arena. Awesome. And then it all fell through. But that would have been cool.
Yeah, that would have been.
But at least we're lucky Limelight picked him up.
Yeah.
Yeah,
They
it's-
said I just watched an interview with Michael today. He said that they're recording 2 virtual concerts.
Oh, yeah. A lot of bands are doing that now.
One for the new album, and then he said they're also doing one for To Hell with the Devil.
Oh,
Wow.
man.
So
That'd be
I
cool.
don't know. Just watch your news, I guess.
Yeah. Well, I thought it was really cool. I mean, to me, they're one of the bands that, you know, a lot of bands have had to figure out in this new environment we're in. What can you do to still sort of make revenue and connect with your fans and do something different? But to me, Stryper's one of the bands who's done a good job with that because they've had these special, besides the calls that we did, Mike, you know, the album list, and they've done some other calls that you could join with them. And now they're going to do these virtual concerts. And I think they're doing some cool things I don't see other bands necessarily doing, you know?
Right.
Yeah. Well, honestly, all the stuff we've been talking about the last 15 minutes or so about all these other bands, all the other shows, all the concerts, it's all because of Stryper.
Yeah.
They paved the way, man.
Oh, exactly.
Yep.
Mhm.
Yeah. I mean, I think you can look,
Yep.
you can go way back and say, okay, you know, Petra and some of those bands paved the way to at least get rock going, but to
Yeah.
get it in a heavier, harder direction and hit that, open the door wide open, because let's face it, Petra and those bands were still sort of pigeonholed. They only played like Christian shows, mainly at churches or whatever. Then Stryper comes and blows the doors off and tours the world and plays arenas. You know, that had never been done by a Christian band.
Yeah.
Nope.
Yeah,
Mm-mm.
that's for sure.
I think, like I say, I think it's so cool now to see, like you say, we talked about how people didn't give them the respect back in the day, but now you see these guys, again, 35 years later, who some of them have become Christians. Like you got both Daves in Megadeth, Mustaine and Ellison are both Christians. You got Alice Cooper, you got Nickel McBrain from Iron Maiden, you got
Yeah.
Blackie Lawless from Wasp.
Yeah,
These guys who are now Christians, and it's like, you know, it's so crazy. And, you know, Stryper may have had a hand in that, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah. Oh, plus, I mean, you know, all these bands, I mean, you know, they get older and you get closer to that, you know.
Yeah.
you're invincible when you're younger, but then
Oh,
when
sure.
you start seeing death more and you're like getting closer, it's like, wait a minute, man, I got to do some, you know, reevaluation here.
Exactly. Well, yeah, that's one thing that's always struck me as sort of funny is, you know, you'll see like Eddie Trunk will be interviewing somebody, and, you know, let's say it's Ted Nugent, who is crazy, but the guy's never done drugs, he's never drank, he's always lived clean. He's just crazy,
Yeah.
you know?
He's awesome. I mean, he's
Yeah.
smarter than you know.
Exactly. I mean, he's just over the
Most
top with his
anyway.
personality, but you know, when he'll say something about, you know, Eddie, I've never taken drugs, drank alcohol in my life, and everybody will praise him like, that's awesome. But then the next time they have a guest on, all they do is talk about how drunk they got. I'm like,
Yeah,
you know, I don't understand that worldly logic of, oh yeah, that's awesome that you want to be sober. That's really cool. I'm gonna go get blasted now. You know, hey, yeah, I just don't get it. You know,
yeah.
I'll always praise somebody for getting clean and sober, but you know, it's like, how about you just start out that way and stay that way? It's much easier. Hey, you know how to not be addicted to drugs? Don't do them in the first place.
Yeah.
Seems easy, but you know. But I
Yeah,
digress.
that's the truth.
Well, if we, you know, just think about, just think about 1992 when Stryper broke up, and here we are, 2020, and like you guys are saying, I mean, they sound so much better. I mean, they're getting better. I mean, Michael has definitely lost some range, but still, like you were saying, he sounds so much better than a lot of the other bands.
Yeah.
Well, he says he lost range. I don't hear it, but but there are a lot of studio tricks. But I mean,
Well, like you say, Blood
Regardless.
from Above, the ending of that song.
yeah,
That's the first song out of the album, and he just lets it rip, you know? with
I
a big
know.
old scream.
He did say they asked, one of the questions was, what is your tips for singing? And he said the one thing he does, the first thing he does to record is he gets all the screams out first.
Yeah.
Good idea.
Yep.
Oh wow.
Yep.
Yeah, don't do those at the end of an 8-hour session.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
You know?
Yep. He said that's the first thing he's tackled, so he doesn't have to worry about it.
Yeah.
Well, that was one of the other interesting things on our call. I think it was Robert, because I don't know how your call was, but Robert was at Oz's house, and Oz was like upstairs, and Robert was
Yeah, he
downstairs.
was. Yeah.
And Robert said something about Michael's scream on the album. I forget which one. Maybe it was The Blood From Above. But Robert said, the first time he heard that, he was like, he said the same thing. He's like, Mike, you talk about you've lost some range. He's like, I don't hear it. So his old brother saying that, like, it blew me away with that scream.
Right.
So did Robert talk? Does he? I didn't know he talked.
Yeah. Not as much as the others, but yeah.
Yeah, that's cool. I need to get in on one of those.
Oh, another
Yeah,
thing
that is awesome.
Another thing that they told us, Divider, that song was written for Against the Law.
Oh, it was? Seriously?
Yes.
Because it fits today. Like
Yes,
these.
Wow.
They said
like
it got cut off the record, and he said that it's a different arrangement, but it's pretty much the same song.
Because you know how I picture that song, like when I first heard it, I was like, oh man, this sounds like those rioters, like outsiders coming in and stirring up the riots and all this stuff, and they're dividing people, and the whole divide and conquer strategy. That's what I was like, but I mean, it fits. I mean, it just fits today.
It was hilarious. He started that song, and we were getting into it, and then he stopped it, and he goes, you know what? He goes, I just got to stop this because I got to say this. He goes, everybody keeps saying, why don't you do stuff from the 80s? And he's like, this was done 1989. This song is from 1989. So here you go. Yeah, it was pretty cool.
Yeah, and it does not sound like from 1989.
No, it doesn't.
It's interesting, Chuck, that you said Against the Law is your favorite, because, I would say of the classic era, for me, probably Soldiers is my favorite from what I would say from the classic era. But I got to admit, man, Against the Law, just musically, stylistically, is a killer album,
It is.
Yeah.
I mean, to me, it blows away in God We Trust. And God We Trust for me was a so-so album,
Yeah.
It had some moments, The Rain and some other good songs, but overall it was not my style. Then they come out with Against the Law, and I was like, man, this is awesome.
Yeah, well, when I listen to Soldiers, To Hell with the Devil, and Against the Law, I mean, Against the Law might be my favorite today. Soldiers will be my favorite tomorrow. A couple days from now, I'll be like, well, I don't know, man, because To Hell with the Devil. I mean, those three really are right up there with me all the way on.
You guys know the backstory on Against the Law?
I heard it once, I think.
Okay, so the backstory was, it still is going to be called Against the Law, but the whole concept was supposed to be them breaking out of prison. This was Robert's concept. And what it was, the message was that they were breaking free from the laws, I guess, of man.
Yeah.
And they said that they had written tons of songs that had God and Jesus in them. But what happened was the label had a new owner, and they told them, if you mention God,
I heard that. Yeah.
whatever, we're cutting it. You cannot put that on the record. And so they basically tied their hands. They didn't want to go. They didn't want to go down that direction, but the label forced them to.
I heard
Did they even make them change the image and get rid of the yellow and black and everything?
Yes, and Robert talks about it. He said that all of a sudden he's getting phone calls saying that they're going to take the Isaiah 53:5 off. You got to get rid of the stripes. They designed an entire new logo for them without their consent. I mean, this was crazy.
Yeah. I've never heard that. And I knew, I know Michael was vocal about he hates the yellow, but that signature, so they're always going to do it, But that's interesting. I've never heard that before.
Yeah. It's in, it's a book I got called, it's their biography before Michael's book came out. It tells you all about that era. It's really interesting.
One thing that was so cool in Michael Sweet's book that I never knew about was when they got signed. Did you guys you guys heard that story, right?
That's a great one.
Yeah.
With Enigma Records, and they had a birthday cake as somebody's
Yes.
birthday. Oh yeah, it's Anton LaVey's birthday.
Yeah.
Celebrating the Church of head of the Church of Satan, and Enigma was like, totally clueless that they were a Christian band. And remember, they went to their concert and they were they were playing a show or something, and the execs came and they were singing. Well, you remember the story? Was it Jesus?
Well, there's a lot of stories, because it was Wes and
what was that song?
and his brother owned Enigma, or they were running it, and they went out to hell with the devil. They went out on tour with them, and they saw behind the scenes, drug dealers and druggies dropping their drugs after the show because they had talked to the band. And he said that there was people doing drugs, and they just left it all behind, and they were like shocked, man, that they were like changing people's lives at these shows.
Mm-hmm.
But the Enigma guys went to a show and they were singing all about Jesus,
right?
And he was like shocked that they still got signed, because they were like celebrating a Satanist birthday. They're totally against Christianity, and it was just like a miracle they got on that label or something. I don't know. I'm trying to think back at the story, but it was.
I remember.
That was crazy.
Said that when the lyrics situation came up, it was almost like God pulled the wool over their eyes. They didn't really care at that time. They were just like, you know what?
They're making money.
They're making us money. I don't care. Go ahead and do it.
Yeah.
That's the thing I think is so cool about Stryper's story too, is that, I think probably even some fans don't realize this, that, they were a band pre-Stryper. I mean, the Rocks Regime, and even before that, I mean, they were playing the Sunset Strip. They were playing with Rat and Motley Crue before they were Christians.
Mm-hmm.
Then the guys get saved and turn it around and say, okay, we're still going to make music and play the Strip, but we're going to have a message now. I mean, that's pretty darn bold, because one day you're playing with these guys, party and whatever. Now we're playing with these guys, and we've had this change in our life, and the guts it took for them to do that. And
I can't even imagine. That's
the part that drove me crazy, when people ridiculed them for playing bars and stuff. I'm like, that's the scene they came out of. That's the scene that they know. That's the scene they want to go back and minister to.
Right. I mean, I can't imagine the stuff that they went through. I mean, just the ridicule and I don't know, man. That's just nuts.
I mean, that's the thing, man. Can you imagine if they put like a movie like on Netflix or something, because there's so many outlets now. I mean, it would be so inspirational, because he's got one of the best stories I've ever, read, between his wife dying of cancer and then him becoming a forest ranger and all this stuff happening. I mean, it's a wild story. And from, go from the early days to the later days and to now, I mean, it's a blockbuster,
Yeah.
No,
made the best Motley Crue. Why not Stryper? They're so,
Yeah, man. The best story in that book is when he's kind of at a low moment in his life. And I mean, he's remarried, but they haven't been making music, and he's working as the forest ranger at the cranberry farm or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And he has to go tell these campers to put out their fire, and they're blaring Stryper on their radio, on their little boom box. And he walks up. Michael Sweet ends up staying. They keep the fire going. They hand him the acoustic, and they do Stryper songs till midnight. That's awesome.
I know, that's great.
I mean, that's just that's the most killer movie, man.